What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality podcast. I'm your host. I'm Caitlin Kenna Smith, and today we're going to talk all about 2025 and my personal business and athletic goals for 2025. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this when it pertains to myself and my personal business and athletic goals is because I know that a lot of people out there have set intentions for the new year or have set resolutions for the new year. And I want you to understand that a lot of people who are in the fitness industry say that New Year's resolutions are complete bullshit because they never work out. And while that's actually true, because if you look at the studies or if you look at the research or if you look at the surveys that they've done, 80% of people fail their New Year's resolutions by February. So why do people continue to make New Year's resolutions if they don't work? Well, I'm kind of in the middle here. I believe in New Year's resolutions can be effective depending on how you approach them. However, I don't think that there's anything magical about them, because what so many people do is they wait until the new year because they have this thought in their head that everything is going to change when the clock strikes midnight for a new year, when the reality is that nothing changes unless you make a change. So if you want to accomplish something different this year, or if you want this year to be different than in years past, then something needs to change in your process in order to allow for a different outcome. So for example, if every single year you set the goal that you're going to get in shape, you're going to be healthy, this is going to be the year that I let go of my bad habits or my addictions and I do something better with my life. However, you continue to say that in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Every year you say this is going to be my year. And the reason why you keep saying that every year is because you go into it hoping and wishing that something will change instead of actively making a change to your process. The only way to get a different outcome is to change the input. And the only person and the only thing that can change the input is you. So I wanted to talk about my 2025 goals for a few reasons. One, because you guys follow my podcast, you follow my social media, you follow my YouTube. For some reason, you're interested in my life. And I like to share the journey of my life, not just for myself to come back on and look at, but also to show you guys how a journey works and how a process works and how you go from this to another step, to another step, to another step. And it doesn't happen overnight. You have to take it one step at a time. But I'm also telling you my 2025 goals as an accountability piece, because if I put it out on the internet, then damn it, I'm going to do it. Now, when it comes to my 2025, I set a theme for the year. And that theme for 2025, and I have it written here on a notebook in front of me, and that is be fearless. So 2025 is the year where I will be fearless. And I mean that in a few different ways. So when it comes to my training, I do not want to be afraid that I'm going to hurt myself again. I don't want to be afraid that I might fail a rep or that I might fail a workout. I let go of failure or the fear of failure in 2024, and it changed my results exponentially for the better. Like, unbelievable. When it comes to my training, but also when it comes to my career, when it comes to my business, when it comes to my personal life. Instead of fearing failure, which so many of us do, I made the decision that I'm not going to fear failure. I'm going to embrace it as an opportunity for growth. And I want to continue that theme into 2025, but change it into be fearless. And I mean that in every area of my life, not just in training, not just in business, but also in my personal life. Because one thing that I really struggle with, and if you watch my YouTube vlogs, you may see it because you see so much more of my life, or if you listen to the podcast, you might hear it in the stories that I tell you and the experiences that I share, that I worry a lot in my life. I worry so much to the point that I feel like I miss so much of my life because I'm not living in the present, because I'm so focused on the past and the regrets, or I'm so worried about the future and if it's going to work out and what more can I do in this moment, that I can't ever relax to actually enjoy my life. So this year, with being fearless, I also want to worry less and have more fun. And that's one of my biggest personal goals for this year. But let me pull up the PDF that I have, or not PDF, the Word document that I have on my computer with my 2025 goals, all sorted out by business, brand, athlete, CrossFit career, and personal family. Now, if you're making 2025 goals, I highly recommend that you break them down into different categories, because this is going to help you be able to have more clarity on what you want to do. I also recommend being as specific as possible with your goals, because if you know exactly what the end destination is, then you're able to better map out directions from where you are now to where you want to be. So, when it comes to my business and my brand, I talk about the Powerhouse Mentality, but I also talk about my personal brand on social media, Caitlin Kenna Fitness. So I have specific number and sales goals when it comes to the Powerhouse Mentality gear and apparel. And I set them up into quarterly goals. So quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. Because I find that it is much easier to break down business goals into quarterly goals, because it gives you something to pinpoint over the course of the year. I also think this is a really good thing for you to do if you're trying to accomplish any sort of goal, is instead of having one big massive thing, having stair-stepping or checkpoints along the way is going to allow you to continue to move forward when you feel like you're not making progress. But it's also going to allow you to celebrate wins along the way that can continue the momentum. So I have specific sales goals for the Powerhouse Mentality gear and apparel that I'm not going to share on the podcast, on the YouTube. I'm not going to share that. But just know that they are reach goals. But I know that they're 100% attainable if I put in the work and I be fearless. Now, one thing that I'm committing to with the Powerhouse Mentality gear and apparel is at minimum 1 new release each quarter. So that would be 4 new releases this year. When it comes down to my first form business, my first form commissions, I have specific commission goals, I have specific sales goals, and I have specific goals on new customer sales each month. Now, new customer sales to me isn't new customer sales. To me, it's helping a new person better their life. And that's how I look at it when it comes to first form. But I'm also committing to doing 2 first form commercials each month on my social media. So 1 value or educational based one, and 1 humor-based one, because we all love humors. And for some reason, people love when I do stupid skits. And you know what? They're fun. And that's another thing with being fearless, is if I have an idea with content, I'm going to lean into it instead of making an excuse for why I can't film it today. When it comes to the podcast, I am changing my commitment with the podcast. In 2024, I committed to doing 3 episodes a week. And what I found with doing that is, 1, my podcast grew, no shit, because I was more consistent. But the one thing that I did find was that I wasn't delivering the quality of content that I wanted to deliver. There were some weeks where I was like, well, I need to get a podcast up. Let me just record something, instead of actually taking the time to dive into the topic, to write out notes, to actually figure out what is going to be the most valuable thing for my listener. And that's what I'm changing this year. So this year, I'm committing to 2 episodes a week with a focus on quality of content. And if for some reason I don't have anything going into my brain and I feel like I cannot deliver quality, I will only do 1 episode a week. However, 2 is the goal, and I will never dip below 1 unless I'm dying. Now, with that, I have a goal of bringing on more guests to deliver more value to you guys. And that would be having at least 30 new guests this year. And new, meaning they've never been on the podcast before. This is happening for 2 reasons. 1, I know this can deliver exponential value to you guys, which is what I'm all about with the podcast. Obviously, I do not make money from the podcast. It's all to put out value and to help impact people. But also, this is selfishly for myself. I need to get outside of my comfort zone, and getting new people who I've never spoken to before on the podcast who are ahead of me in life is going to help me in life, but it's also going to help me get outside of my comfort zone so I can be more comfortable talking, interviewing, being a podcast host. That's exactly what I love to do. When it comes to YouTube, I'm committing to 1 new video a week. Could be more, but it'll never be less. Instagram, my goal is to break 5,000 followers by doubling down on valuable content with the thought that people should be able to come to my page and earn results without having to invest a single dollar. With the Powerhouse Mentality Facebook community, I want to break 500 members. We are currently at 148. So if you're not in the Powerhouse Mentality Facebook group, it's free to join. The link is down below in the show notes, is down below in the YouTube notes. So make sure you go and you join because there's a lot of free, valuable content in there and more to come. I have big plans for that group this year. When it comes to my Powerhouse Mentality coaching, my goal is to build my revenue to a specific number and to have a specific number month. I will not share those specific numbers with you. However, the goal with that is to impact more people, is to help X amount of people see results. Another one, and this is a big one that I've wanted for a while, but this year I'm going to make it happen, is be a guest on a podcast. I've never been a guest on the podcast. I have a podcast, but I've never been a guest on somebody else's podcast. So that is my goal, is be a guest on a podcast. Now, those are my business, personal brand goals for 2025. So now let's ease into the athletic or the CrossFit career side of things. So number one is finish in the top 10% of the 2025 CrossFit Open. Yes, I am competing in the CrossFit Open. For those of you who are in the CrossFit space, you know there's been a lot of changes this year, which is nothing new for CrossFit. For some reason, we like to change things every fucking year. But my goal to finish in the top 10% of the Open. I want to compete in at least one individual competition. I've competed in 2 team competitions with Stone. I've never done an individual competition. My goal is to do at least one this year. I want to compete in another partner competition with Stone and not a scaled division, so either intermediate or RX. I want to compete in a high rocks because everybody's doing a high rocks and I think that I'd be good at it, so I want to try one. Plus, it's getting outside my comfort zone and getting more into a community. And that's exactly what I want to do. Personally, I want to build more muscle. I want to get stronger. So I want to snatch over 100 pounds, clean 135, back squat 200, front squat 150. And I want to become more efficient at my gymnastics, kipping, toes to bar, butterfly pull-ups, and handstand. So those are all of my athletic career goals. And also, a lot of that comes down to the process that I have to focus on in order to make these things happen, which I want to break down for you guys, right? So if I want to build more muscle and I want to get stronger, then I'm going to have to put an emphasis on nutrition. I'm going to have to eat more. I'm going to have to eat more carbohydrates, specifically during my training too, to make sure that I'm fueling efficient training sessions. I'm going to have to do less conditioning, which is what I've been doing, being more intentional with the conditioning that I am doing, and focusing heavily on strength and body awareness with gymnastics. I also have to focus a lot on mobility, on recovery, which is why I've been doing cold plunges every single day. I do, those vasoconstriction boots, whatever the hell they're called. I do a lot of muscle stim. I do a lot of stretching. I work with a PT. I have to continue to do my PT accessory work to make sure that I'm continuing to get stronger. And I need to, again, and I will emphasize this again because I did, is eat more food and get out of my head with my past that holds me back in that area. So when it comes to a goal, if I want to clean 135 pounds, it's not just like fingers crossed, I hope that it happens. It's like, okay, what are the things that I need to do in order to make that happen? And that's how you should approach your goals. When it comes to personal and family goals, I have a specific amount of savings that I want to accumulate in a joint bank account for Stone and I. I will not share that number. I want to have more fun. I want to worry less because life is short. And with that, I want to dive deeper into this one because I want to sit down with Stone and do it, is figure out exactly what are some things that we want to do this year. What are some things that we haven't done, have wanted to do, but haven't because we don't have time or we really haven't made the time to do them. Things that involve having more fun and worrying less because life is short. One of those things, and this is something that I've wanted to do for 4 years since Stone and I have gotten together, is rent a cabin for a weekend with just us. No phones, like no technology, no dogs, just us. And that will happen in 2025. North Carolina, Tennessee, Montana, somewhere beautiful. Another goal would be to visit First Form HQ with Stone. We've done it in the past, and it's an amazing opportunity, and I would love to do it again. And then another one is to be invited to First Form HQ. Now, there are more things that I want to add to this list. Crazy things, right? So like, surf or take a gymnastics class or something along those lines, right? But again, I want to sit down with Stone and map out that specifically, and we just haven't had the time to do it yet. But these are all of my goals specifically for 2025. I'm putting them out there because they will happen. And you realize that a lot of them are process-focused goals. So with, for example, my YouTube, I didn't say, hey, I want to have 10,000 subscribers. I said, I'm going to put out one new video a week. Because being consistent and delivering high-quality content is how you gain subscribers. Same thing with the podcast. I didn't say I want to have X amount of downloads. I said I want to put out 2 episodes a week focused on quality. And I want to have 30 new guests. Those things should help get more downloads. That's how it works. So if you have goals that you've set out for 2025, which I know every single person who's watching this, listening to this has, make sure that you break them down into actionable steps instead of just wishing and hoping that something is going to happen. And that is how you make a New Year's resolution come true instead of it just being another year where you fucked up and made it happen by February is when you quit. So go out today and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.